Thank you. Thank you, students. At this time, please rise as the Lakewood Ranch High School JROTC Color Guard will present our colors. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we listen to our 8th grade band playing our national anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. A very good morning and welcome to our 16th annual Veterans Day celebration and flag raising ceremony. Braden River Middle School is honored to have all of you as special guests to celebrate with us, our veterans. Please welcome Cindy Saunders, Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. Ms. Saunders. And Mr. Ron Serrana, Deputy Superintendent of Business Services and Operations. And we'd also like to recognize Mr. John Colon, the Manatee County School Board member. Today we celebrate in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, where our freedoms and our democracy are envied around the globe. The right to freedom is the most prized possession. President Lincoln once said, "Freedom is the last best hope on earth." This freedom came to us because our forefathers were willing to sacrifice their lives so that you and I could be free to express our opinions and our views, our right to assemble as we are doing here today. And this right we share equally continues to come with the cost of human life. This is the sacrifice that we acknowledge with our veterans today. There are governments in this world who do not believe in freedom and education for its people. Young people like you are not permitted to go to school, to learn, and to dream. There are governments in this world that are threatened by the idea of freedom of expression or freedom of speech, and they are willing to risk their life and yours to take it away. We have learned throughout history that honor and patriotism come with the ultimate price, a sacrifice of human life that these veterans were willing to give of themselves. And far too many times, they paid the ultimate price, the loss of life, the loss of a family member, or the loss of a very close friend. Our former English colonists fought for the unheard of ideal of living their lives free from oppression. And they did not ask if it was going to be easy. They gave of themselves with the greatest devotion to the ideas of a new America, to a democracy. And through their efforts, a new nation was born, where people had a voice and could express themselves without fear of retaliation. Through their efforts, they created this great nation, a nation that believes that all its people, all its races, its diverse cultures have a voice and be afforded equality. These are the men and women who have sacrificed their lives in the name of democracy, and we celebrate with them today. To our veterans and current armed forces around the globe who each day risk their life to fight for democracy and freedom, we celebrate. Albert Einstein once said, "Everything that is really great and inspiring in this world is created by the individual who can labor in freedom." It is now my pleasure to introduce to you our speaker, Colonel Randy Gangle. Colonel Gangle is a 30-year veteran of the United States Marines. During his 30 years of service, Colonel Gangle served in combat in Vietnam, Iraq, Kuwait, Somalia, Colombia, and Guatemala. Colonel Gangle holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in History and Education, a Master's of Arts in Security and International Affairs, and a Master's of Business degree in General Administration. Please welcome, at this time, Colonel Randy Gangle.
Well, good morning, everyone, fellow veterans, especially the students. I'm sorry for my back to you guys back here. I'm here today to talk about Veterans Day, but I have to tell you, it's an even more important day on the 10th of November because today is the 241st birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but we were founded in a bar in Philadelphia on November the 10th. Now, that has a connection to Veterans Day that I'll get to later on. Because we like to celebrate our birthday in the Marine Corps, and of course, if you have to get up and go to work the next day, it's tough. So we were working through the years to get a holiday the next day, and I'll tell you how that happened. In 1913, a war started in Europe. It was called the Great War. It's now called the First World War. And that Great War went on, and there was over 17 million people killed during that war. And the war was fought mostly in trenches that were 1,000 miles long, with armies of the Germans and their allies on one side, and the French, the British on the other side. Finally, in 1917, Woodrow Wilson, our president, decided to join the war on the side of the Allies, the British and the French. And he put together an armed force, an expeditionary force, which was comprised of Marines and Army. And by the way, does everybody know what Army stands for? A-R-M-Y. Aren't ready for Marines yet? Gotcha. So at any rate, this force goes over to France, and when they get there, the French and the British generals, they looked at them and said, oh, these Yanks, you know, they don't know anything about fighting, and so we'll put them down on a piece of the trench line where there's been no activity, because that way they don't have to fight. We won't have to worry about the Germans breaking through. And the Germans, they looked at where the Americans were put, and they said the same thing. Ah, look, the Allies have put these Americans that don't know how to fight down here, so let's attack there. Well, the Army, who was in charge, put the Marines where they thought there was going to be the least amount of fighting going on, too. And it was a place called Belleau Wood. Well, an attack came from the Germans, and it lasted 26 days. And guess what? The Americans didn't lose. In fact, they fought so hard, the Germans called the Marines Teufelhundens, which means devil dogs. The French were so impressed that they changed the name officially from Belleau Wood to Bois de Guerre Marine, the woods of the Marines. Now, a few months later, in 1918, on November the 11th, at 11 o'clock in the morning, the armistice ended the First World War. And that's where Veterans Day began. On the 11th day, the 11th hour, Veterans Day, which was originally called Armistice Day to celebrate the Great War, the end of the Great War. Well, unfortunately, a few years later, in 1939, we had another great war called World War II. Another millions of people lost their lives. And eventually that war was over. And in 1947, the President of the United States changed the name of Armistice Day to Veterans Day. And that's what we're here to celebrate today, to honor the veterans that have served our country, some of them, many of them giving their lives, but many of them just doing it because they felt it was their duty. So to all you veterans here today, I give you my thanks. I wish you a long and good life. And to all the students here today, thank you for having us. And to that band that played the Star Spangled Banner, you were superb. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Daniel. At this time, Miss Celia Sperato will lead our 7th and 8th grade chorus in performing America by Roger Emerson. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Heidi Henneke, our art teacher, and our student designer, Sophie Buckwalter, to unveil the newest panel of the Veterans Wall of Honor. This tradition started 16 years ago, and now we are unveiling our 33rd mosaic panel with over 810 tiles recognizing our veterans. There were over 180 students that participated in making of this mosaic. Ms. Henneke? Awesome job. Now switching gears, we'll move Ms. Sperato from one side to the other, as she is also our orchestra teacher. So at this time, Ms. Sperato will lead our 8th grade orchestra in performing America the Beautiful. There we go. Thank you. Awesome job, Celia. You know, I'm often asked by students, how can I possibly be patriotic when I'm only 11, 12, or 13 years old? And I tell them there are 3 very simple ways to show patriotism when you're young. The first is educate yourself. Come to school every day and participate and learn as much as you can about the world in which you live in. Second, be a good citizen. Be a role model, not a follower. Have respect for rules and for laws. And finally, number 3, don't be selfish. Never, ever take for granted the freedoms and the rights that we all enjoy, and we all enjoy equally. I want to again welcome and thank all of you for coming to our school today, where our students are inspired to learn, dream, and achieve in a free society. Before we close our ceremony, I have to thank and recognize our music department, our chorus, our band, our orchestra for their hard work in getting these pieces together for today's performance. The many teachers and administrators who planned and organized this event, Mr. Shaw, Ms. Torlucci, Mr. Brown, Mr. Donovan, Ms. McClellan, and the rest of our Social Studies Department, our National Junior Honor Society students, Ms. Enneking and her art students for the fabulous mosaic, Ms. Pittman and Ms. Bergeron and others for their efforts today to make this 16th annual event a success. And I also would like to thank Southeast High School television production crew, students. We are producing this for the first time for YouTube. So this is live streaming today. This event is a great example of the mission of Braden River Middle School, where we teach the values of shared democracy and the freedom to learn, dream, and achieve, and we should never, ever take that for granted. I thank all of you, especially my students, our friends and families, for making this event, again, a huge success. It was a great turnout. And we thank all our special guests, and especially our veterans, for letting us share with you our gratitude for the sacrifices all of you have made for us. Please stand now, remove your hats, as our 8th grade student, Will King, will perform taps. Veterans and friends, I invite all of you to join us for a reception in our media center, which is located directly beyond the courtyard, straight back that way. And students, I appreciate your behavior this morning. You showed the type of awesome Panthers that you can be, and we're very proud of you, all of you. Students, you may now return to your first period class. Thank you all for coming.